Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E. You can find me over at K.O.E Nation on YouTube and Spotify. But here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, we are going to break down the 10 greatest WCW World Heavyweight Champions of all time. So, folks, I figured as the reigning, defending Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, the undisputed, multiversal World's Heavyweight Champion, I figured, who better? Really, who better than I, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man who makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, to give this top 10 list. And I figured, wait, there is nobody better. So I thought, well, why not just grace the world with this amazing knowledge as to the top 10 World Heavyweight Champions in WCW of all time. And without further ado, let's get right in to the top 10 greatest World Champions ever. Number 10, let's get started with one of the great world champions that does not get a lot of recognition, and that is the great Ron Simmons. Yes, I'm putting you at number 10. Also, the first ever recognized African-American World Heavyweight Champion. He defeated Vader, of all people, and was able to hold the title for a couple, I think it was about 4 to 6 months. Really should have been a longer reign. Just for the headlines and the mainstream attention you were getting, should have been much longer. He was also a college football player, so he had that mainstream appeal. They took the belt off him way too soon. I don't know what motivated that, but despite all of that, he was just an amazingly well-booked champion. He was kept strong. His win was incredible. Everyone was really disappointed by the loss. So that's the mark of a pretty damn good champion. And over you having to lose a champion, Ron Simmons, all I can say is, damn! But despite all that, you make it onto this list as the 10th greatest WCW champion of all time. Now, we move onward and upward to number 9. Number 9 is a controversial champion, to say the least. He's one that you either love or hate. You think he was perfect or should have never been signed. To me, he was a great, consistent heel champion. And when he went on his own Legend Killer run, it actually brought my attention back to the WCW product. And that's why number 10 is none other than Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Let me tell you something, slap nuts. If you don't think Double J is the 9th best champion in WCW history, well, I got a guitar tune for you, son. So yeah, that was quintessential heel work from Jeff Jarrett, a quintessential heel. One of those few people that just had that special skill of just knowing how to piss off the crowd. And he was involved in some doozies of some angles. But regardless, nonetheless, you cannot dispute or deny that he was one of those people that just brought sweet, beautiful stability to a title that really did not have much at the time. And that is why you are champion number 9, Jeff Jarrett. Champion number 8, one that really had to make it onto this list. It's just a shame that he's not higher. But man, when he did hold that belt, it was amazing. And that was the man that made you feel the bang! Yes, Diamond Dallas Page is number 8, the greatest WCW World Heavyweight Champion. In my opinion, he was the guy that should have ended Goldberg's streak. But, I mean, if there was ever a time to do it, it was against Diamond Dallas Page at Halloween Havoc. Otherwise, I mean, knowing what we know now, Goldberg should have just held the title until the end of WCW. And I think taking the belt off of him had a lot to do with its demise, but that's neither here nor there. DDP, again, just a great stalwart babyface. He could be put into that Sting role very easily, where you just knew you got this great babyface you could always count on. And it's just unfortunate that DDP, he got the belt late in his career and he wasn't really allowed to run with it because WCW's upper card was a little crowded at the time. But despite all that, we raise our glass, and if you're part of the DDP yoga program, you raise a glass of water or, like, I don't know, some sort of herbal tea to one Diamond Dallas Page. Now, we move on to number 7. Who will occupy this role? Who could make it as a great WCW champion with this very crowded pack? Well, it's one who made it onto another greatest champions, but this was one that was definitely deserving, and another person who just didn't get enough time with the belt. And that belt should have belonged to the Macho Man Randy Savage at number 7. Number 7 in this case must mean the cream of the crop. Oh, yeah, Hulk Hogan this Sunday. Yes, oh God. Macho Man Randy Savage. He wasn't even the champion at this one, but I'll never forget. And he only got one hand connecting, but just the jump, I'll never forget. Halloween Havoc, Roddy Piper versus Hulk Hogan for the, I believe it's for the title, in a gigantic cage. Macho Man climbs it, brings his fingers up to the skies, does the jump. He literally just barely hits Hulk Hogan. I mean, just barely hits him. But it didn't matter. It looks so amazing. And it's one of those cherished memories for me from Macho Man. I believe injury did actually cut one of his reigns short, so that was really unfortunate. I mean, he was getting to that point where I really... that's the thing. Everybody wanted to see him do the high-flying stuff. He probably should have tried to develop some sort of submission hold that people would buy as legitimate for him to beat opponents with, and then just do the elbow drop once in a great while for the big pay-per-views. But nah, I mean, Mach was so particular, I don't think he would have accepted that. But because of his particularness, he is number 7 as the 7th greatest WCW champion of all time. Raise your glass to the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Now we move on to number 6. Who could possibly be the 6th greatest WCW World Heavyweight Champion of all time? Other than, it's time! It's Vader time! Yes, Big Van Vader. Yes, Vader is the 6th greatest champion of all time. Amazingly booked, just consistent monster heel champion that you could always count on to be the foil for your big-time babyface. Vader, he also was the guy that dropped the belt to Ron Simmons to start that historic run. And he was just that great final boss in WCW. If you needed some big foil, Vader was the guy. He was known to work a little, let's call it snug. Yeah, snug. That's a nice way to say it. But also, folks, we raise our glass to the late, great Big Van Vader, the 6th greatest WCW World Heavyweight Champion of all time, folks. And just a personal note, me growing up, we'll just call him Endline of RXW fame. that was his favorite wrestler in the world, was Vader. He thought Vader was the one, like, he was that guy that had that real mystique. So folks, raise your glass of whatever you got to the 6th greatest WCW World Champion of all time, Big Van Vader. To you, Leon. So we move on to number 5. So, who would be the 5th best champion in all WCW history? Who would be somebody that would be worthy of number 5? Who would be somebody that you could call a five-time WCW champion player other than Booker T? Yes, Booker T, amazingly consistent champion, was always booked very well when he had the title. The only thing that was wrong was the booking that was happening. He was great. The crowd loved him. He worked with chicken shit and made it chicken salad. Like that 4 boxes match with Jeff Jarrett, like he even somehow kind of made that work. And that was complete garbage. The fact that he like kind of somehow sold the what the hell, this is a picture of Scott Hall. The fact that he made that work speaks volumes. So Booker T, he was also the last proper WCW champion when the company folded its doors all those many years ago. Gosh, 20 years now, folks. So, and we're still holding on to those precious memories. So Booker T, he took the belt from Scott Steiner, who basically he's my honorable mention. He would be number 11 on this list. It was a very bittersweet night, that one. The night Booker T took the title for the last time. And then he came in on the Alliance storyline. But anyways, happier times. We're thinking of happier times. But yes, Booker T, an amazing wrestler in WCW, and you at least got your just dues at the end where they gave you the US and world titles. So for that, we raise our glass to Booker T. The 5, number 5, not number 1, not number 2, not number 3, not number 4, but number 5 champion in WCW history. We raise our glass to you, sir. So, who do we move on to for number 4? But a stalwart babyface. One of the people that you could always count on to bring the people, and had just such a unique relationship with the audience that it couldn't be ignored. A man who reinvented himself several times, and the audience bought it every single time. That man, that myth, that legend, the icon, woo! Sting! Yes, Sting is the 4th greatest champion of all time. He would be a little higher if it wasn't for the fact that now, to some people, they would see the referees count in the Sting match versus Hulk Hogan. They would see that as a slow count, a relatively slow count. But if you go back and watch that referee, that was a lightning fast count for him, because he normally would go 1, 2, and like he would almost throw his shoulder out, count a 3 count. And it was 1, 2, 3. And so when he comes down, that was lightning speed for that guy. Like, I've been watching those referees for years. And so, yes, to me, I understood what was happening, but I could see how, like, should have been like, I get it, but was what it was. But that did tarnish Sting's run. It didn't tarnish Sting as much as you would think it would, but it did tarnish the run. So that's why Sting only makes it to number 4, but that is still the 4th greatest WCW champion of all time. Sting. To you, Stinger. So, who would be most appropriate for number 3? Well, it's really only a few folks that you can think of, but number 3, the third greatest WCW champion of all time, Goldberg. 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 Who else could it be, folks? It had to be Goldberg. He is one of the great WCW champions, and I think if they hadn't taken the belt off him the way they did, I think that company would have still survived a few more years, at the very least. Because for fans like me, when they took the belt off of him, and then they did the finger poke of doom, a lot of us just did, well, fuck this whole thing. Jesus, if you're just going to shit on us like this, fuck this whole thing. And that's what I did. That was really what drew me away from WCW, was the finger poke of doom. Unfortunate. But yes, Goldberg, what an undefeated streak. What an attraction. It was unto itself. And I got to see Goldberg live in 2000. And he really did have a presence that just held you. And I can't really describe it any other way. But yes, another champion that should have been higher on this list, but the backstage politicking just got in the way, and Goldberg was too young. He didn't really know how to protect himself. And yeah, knowing what he knows now, I'm sure if he could go back and say, fuck you, I'm not doing that. I'm not dropping no job to Kevin Nash. But is what it is. And that is why Goldberg is number 3. And that is why we raise our glass to Bill Goldberg, the third greatest WCW champion in all history. To you, Goldberg. Now we move on to number 2. Who would be the second greatest WCW champion of all time? Who brought the mainstream eyeballs? Who brought the appeal? Who brought the people that would normally not even know what WCW was if it wasn't for this one person's involvement? And that is the immortal Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Yes. Folks, you knew it was the right thing. You knew it had to be Hogan at number 2 because, first of all, like I said, he brought the mainstream appeal. Second of all, he also brought about the greatest heel turn in the history of wrestling. Name me a better one. That's right. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, Hulk Hogan has to be number 2. I'll never forget when they put live Goldberg versus Hulk Hogan for the title on Monday Nitro. I never had access to pay-per-view as a kid. I had to wait till the next night to find out what happened. This was one of the biggest matches I'd ever had the ability to watch live. And I'll never forget, like, oh no, they're going to steal the belt from Goldberg. All is lost. 1,000-year reign of darkness is about to befall us. The end is nigh. Bury your treasure, burn your crops. Goldberg is about to live. And then Goldberg hits the spear, the jackhammer. 1, 2, 3. Goldberg is the champion. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, we are saved. With salvation is here. Goldberg has defeated this 1,000-year reign of darkness that Hulk Hogan made us think was going to befall all of us, and we will all be allowed to be happy again. So yes, that was what the Goldberg Hogan match meant to me. And if Hogan wouldn't have done the favor, that wouldn't have happened. That amazing memory would have never happened. And it all relied on Hogan doing the favor. And he did it. He did what was right. He did what was right for business. And it was a hell of a result. And so that's why, through all of it and his varying feuds with all the top greats, number 2, Hulk Hogan. To you, Immortal One. So who else could be number one? We can dance around it, but we all know that number one, there's really only one man. In order to be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo! Ladies, none of you can be first, but one of you can be next. On this limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, absolutely no commercial flying, alligator booted, Rolex wearing, woo! Ric Flair, baby. So yes, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, has to be number one. And just like the song, Rolex wearing, styling, profiling, alligator booted and limousine riding, absolutely no commercial flying, all night dancing, all night loving, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun, such a man that could be only one. So yes, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, 16-time world champion, as they say. If we're including all the house shows and non-televised, we're probably getting closer to the 40s, 50s, and Rick would probably even say like the hundreds, if that's the case. If we're just counting every time he won the title at a house show, it's like, yeah, that's got a number into the hundreds. But yes, he is the 16-time recognized World Heavyweight Champion that goes from NWA to WCW. Really the stalwart champion that you could count on if you had nobody else. Ric Flair was always there to do it. So many other folks couldn't take the schedule of being the NWA champion. Ric Flair could, and he loved it. He never asked for any time off. And so that's why they kept the belt on him. He was so reliable in that regard. Yeah, he'd party afterwards, but yeah, that was life. So, number one has to be the Nature Boy, the man. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Ric Flair. So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, raise your glass in toast and in tribute to the one, the only Ric Flair. To you, Mr. Flair. So, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, this has been my breakdown of the top 10 WCW World Heavyweight Champions of all time. Be sure to like, share, subscribe right here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, and also be sure to find me, the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., at K.O.E Nation on YouTube and Twitch. And you can find all of us at Big Buckin' Empire on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch, so you can keep up with all of your K.O.E content. But folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Do you agree with this list? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and folks, all you beautiful people, as the reigning, defending Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, I will catch all of you on the flip side.